Welcome back to The Clean Truth by Roobi. We are so happy to have you with us for our fourth deep dive. Today we've titled it The Scent Factor, How Natural Fragrance Boosts Your Mood.
And it's a topic that I think is going to resonate with a lot of people.
It really is. Because for anyone who thinks, that choosing a scent for your home or your routine is purely aesthetic, this is going to be a real eye-opener.
Just about making things smell nice.
Exactly. But we are looking at some hard science today that proves what you inhale can directly and very powerfully influence your emotional state.
That's right. Our whole mission today is inspired by this fascinating piece of research. It was published back in 2016 in Frontiers in Psychology by Sarid and Zakai. And they weren't just testing whether a scent smells pleasant.
No, this was much deeper.
They set out to rigorously measure the precise impact of natural essential oil fragrances on people's moods. And the results, particularly one specific finding, were genuinely stunning.
Okay, let's unpack that right away. So the core finding, the real aha nugget, is that the mere act of smelling certain fragrances, both ones that were familiar to the participants, like lavender and myrtle, and others that were considered exotic, like bergamot and ravensara, that act alone significantly changed how they felt. It immediately shifted their mood.
And here's where it gets really, really interesting for anyone into the science of wellness. They discovered that the emotional reaction triggered by the fragrance, just by smelling it, was in some cases found to be even stronger in inducing mood states than a structured, standardized relaxation technique.
Wait, hold on. So just smelling a natural scent worked better than actively trying to relax?
In some cases, yes.
That is just...
Yeah.
It's proof of a direct, almost unavoidable physiological thing happening.
Exactly. And it's because scents are handled by our olfactory system, which has this sort of superhighway connection to the limbic system.
And the limbic system, that's the really old primal part of our brain, right?
Yeah. The ancient part, yeah. It's the epicenter for emotion, memory, motivation. And because the olfactory bulb connects directly there, it bypasses so much of the rational cognitive processing. The effect on your relaxation or your energy or just your overall well-being is immediate and incredibly potent.
So you don't even have to think about the scent for it to influence you.
The influence happens first.
And that's really what we're exploring today, how natural fragrance moves beyond just cleaning or, masking an odor. It connects this science to the idea that scent is a tool for emotional comfort, can enhance your daily routines, and support a more mindful, intentional environment in your home.
It really is like functional emotional support delivered straight through your nose.
It is. So if we understand how fundamental and fast that brain link is, we can be much more strategic about the scents we choose to surround ourselves with.
Treating them like mood managers, not just simple aromas.
Let's explore the science behind scent and discover exactly how these natural fragrances can truly boost your mood. Okay, so let's start with the first phase of the research. It focused just on the immediate emotional impact of inhaling a scent. The researchers got a pretty big group together, right?
Yeah, a substantial group. 127 young adults, mostly university students, who agreed to participate.
And what was the setup?
Well, they needed a baseline. So first, all the participants reported their current mood. We can call that the initial mood state. Then, immediately after that, each person smelled one of 4 specific essential oils, and then boom, they reported their mood again.
Right away.
Instantly. This quick before and after was designed to isolate just one variable, the stimulus of the fragrance alone.
So what were these 4 fragrances, and I guess why those 4 in particular?
It's a great question. The researchers categorized them to test a hypothesis about cultural familiarity. So they chose 2 familiar scents, lavender and myrtle, which are very common, endemic even to the Mediterranean region where the study took place.
Okay, the local stuff.
Right. And then they chose 2 so-called exotic scents, bergamot, which you find mostly in Asia and parts of Italy, and ravensara, which is native to Madagascar.
So the idea was to see if the scents they grew up smelling had a stronger emotional pull than a scent they might never have encountered before.
Precisely. But before they even got to that comparison, the immediate results were just so clear.
How did they show?
That just smelling the scent for a moment, that T0 to T1 measurement, it confirmed that the participants' moods were immediately and significantly affected. This just backs up decades of prior findings that fragrances do induce mood and measurable emotional responses.
And again, it's the incredible speed of this that really sets our sense of smell apart, isn't it?
It is. Think about your other senses. If you hear a noise, you first identify it, right? Is it speech, music, a siren? If you see an object, your brain processes color, shape, context. But with smell, That information shoots directly to the limbic system, the headquarters of emotion and memory. You don't have time to process or intellectualize what you're smelling. It hits that emotional center right away.
It's like a reflex.
An ancient survival-based connection that we still carry with us.
Which brings us perfectly to the researchers' initial guess about familiarity. Logically, they thought that smelling the familiar fragrances, the lavender and myrtle, would create stronger, maybe more comforting mood changes than smelling the exotic ones.
You would absolutely assume that. Familiarity often breeds comfort. But this is where the results got really nuanced and I think very reflective of the modern world.
So they were wrong.
Well, the hypothesis was only slightly confirmed. When they looked at the overall change in mood, there were basically no clear differences between the familiar and the exotic fragrances.
No way.
Yeah.
So bergamot and ravensara, the exotic ones, performed just as well as the local favorites, lavender and myrtle, in terms of sheer mood impact.
For the most part, yes. That completely undermines the cultural familiarity angle. They found only one specific, statistically pretty minor difference.
What was it?
Lavender induced a smaller decrease in the self-reported friendly mood state compared to myrtle and ravensara, but that's a tiny, tiny sliver of data to hang a whole argument on.
That almost tells us that for modern populations, this whole idea of a scent being familiar versus exotic might just be obsolete. What did the researchers think happened?
They offered a really brilliant contemporary analysis. The participants were young university students in Israel, which is a very globalized society.
Right.
The researchers suggested that these young people have likely been exposed to a huge variety of globalized fragrances already. Think about travel, imported cosmetics, cleaning products, all the different foods.
Of course. Ravensara oil isn't something that's just confined to Madagascar anymore.
Exactly. In today's world, it's everywhere.
That's a fantastic point. It suggests that our personal lived history with a scent is what really matters, not its geographical origin. We're all globally scented now.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener, this means your comfort scent is whatever you have personally associated with positive experiences, regardless of where that plant is from. The potency isn't in its passport, but in the memories it triggers.
Okay, so that groundwork established that natural scent is a potent emotional lever. Now let's get to the second phase of the experiment, which had the study's most surprising finding: scent versus relaxation.
This is where they really put it to the test. This phase happened right after participants had finished that first mood assessment after smelling the oil.
So they were already in that fragrance-induced mood state.
They were. And then the researchers introduced a simple, standardized, conscious relaxation technique.
Which was?
Just 3 to 5 minutes of deep breathing. They instructed people to inhale deeply through the nose, exhale slowly through the mouth, and focus on their stomach area. A very standard beginner-level mindfulness technique.
Okay. And then after the breathing?
After the exercise, they re-smelled the same fragrance and reported their mood one more time.
Now, the logical expectation would be that the combination, a nice scent, plus actively trying to relax, would lead to an even better, more relaxed mood.
Right. That was definitely the hypothesis. They expected the deep breathing to enhance or modify the existing mood state. But the big surprise was that the mood states were not modified.
Not all.
At all. The emotional reactions induced purely by the fragrance were completely conserved. The deep breathing, in terms of measurable mood change, didn't even register.
That is genuinely astonishing. I have to ask, though, as a listener might, is a 3 to 5 minute breathing exercise really rigorous enough to compete with that kind of immediate neurological input? Is it a fair fight?
That is a fair and critical question, and the researchers do address it. They acknowledge it was a brief exercise, but the comparison is key because they were measuring mood induction. And the core conclusion is just so striking.
Which is?
The fragrant smelling stimulus was, for this group and in this time frame, stronger in inducing a mood state than the conscious relaxation stimulus of deep breathing.
Wow. That has huge implications. We often think relaxation requires deliberate, focused effort. You have to sit down, meditate, breathe. But this suggests that scent can do the heavy lifting instantly and sustain that emotional shift.
And potentially override subsequent short conscious efforts. The study suggests that emotional reactions induced by fragrances might just be so strong, so immediate, and so deeply wired to memory that they're easily preserved. They established a dominant emotional response that the short relaxation exercise just couldn't overcome.
It kind of turns the hierarchy of wellness tools on its head.
It really does. It just shows the sheer physiological power of that olfactory limbic pathway.
So to put this potency into even more context, let's zoom out from this specific study and look at some of the other research they referenced. This is where it moves from just mood to specific changes in cognition and physiology.
Right, we have concrete functional examples. Take lavender. While it's great for relaxation, some studies have shown it can lead to decreases in working memory performance and tasks that require focused attention.
Oh, interesting. So it helps you unwind, but maybe at the cost of immediate sharpness.
It's an operational trade-off, exactly. If I use a strong lavender spray in my home office, I might not remember where I put my keys later.
It's making you a little too relaxed to focus on the details.
Precisely. Now, compare that to rosemary. Rosemary has consistently been found to enhance memory quality and significantly induce alertness when compared to a scent-free control. So if you need cognitive performance and focus, you should be reaching for rosemary.
And there are even studies showing how scent can manage acute stress, like in really high-pressure situations.
Absolutely. A classic example is the use of orange odors. Studies found that orange scents reduced anxiety and improved the mood of patients waiting for dental care, a classic high-stress situation. The scent created a sort of psychological buffer against their anxiety immediately.
And this evidence gets even stronger when researchers stop just asking, how do you feel, and start using objective physiological measurements, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They found strong, measurable connections. For example, there's a positive correlation between how arousing a participant rates a fragrance and their actual skin conductance.
Skin conductance being
Yeah.
how sweaty your palms are.
Basically, yeah. It reflects nervous system activity. If the scent makes you feel energized, your body physically responds.
And what about for pleasantness or calm?
There, they found a negative correlation between how pleasant someone found a scent and their heart rate. In simpler terms, the nicer the scent, the lower and steadier their heart rate became. It confirms the calming effect is real, not just in your head.
And for the ultimate proof, we have to look inside the brain with EEG studies.
Yes, the neurological confirmation is the key. EEG studies have shown a measurable enhancement of alpha wave activity. Those are the brain waves associated with relaxed wakefulness after exposure to certain fragrances. It's not just a subjective preference, it tangibly shifts our internal physical state.
So, as we start to wrap up, what does this all mean for us? This deep dive has basically confirmed that natural fragrance is an incredibly potent, immediate emotional stimulus.
Undeniably, that direct connection to the limbic system is so powerful, it can bypass conscious thought and, in the short term, even dominate over conscious efforts to relax.
But there was one little nuance, wasn't there? About the cognitive component.
Yes. So while the study found that the participants' basic subjective mood didn't shift further with the added relaxation, they did note something interesting about the cognitive component, meaning the adjective-based assessment of the fragrance.
How they thought about it.
Exactly. That part was slightly modified by the breathing exercise.
So the relaxation didn't necessarily make them feel better than the scent already did, but it might have changed how they described or intellectualized the feeling.
Precisely. It's a complex interplay. The scent provides this powerful emotional floor, and conscious effort might just add minor refinements to how we perceive that feeling. But the scent is the dominant driver.
It provides that powerful immediate baseline, which I think raises an important final question for you, the listener, to consider based on the study's own limitations.
Yeah, the researchers pointed this out themselves. They only used deep breathing as their relaxation method.
Just that one technique.
Right. And they even noted that alternative techniques, like, say, progressive muscular relaxation, which is a much more rigorous and physically demanding exercise, might induce stronger responses.
Oh yeah, where you're tensing and releasing muscles. That takes a lot more effort.
It does. So the big question they left hanging is, would the results still show scent dominance if a more intense relaxation method were used?
Or would that combination finally create a different, maybe even more powerful combined effect?
It's the challenge. It leaves us pondering the full depth of this mind-body connection through our noses. Perhaps the ultimate key to daily wellness is finding that perfect pairing. A potent natural fragrance combined with the most effective relaxation technique for you.
It is certainly a question worth exploring in your own mindful routines.